And please note that your mics will be on mute for the duration of the meeting. And once the Q&A session starts, these will be enabled. Dr. Matibe, are you here? You're more than welcome to take the floor.
Okay. Good morning, Melanie. Thank you very much. I'm just coming in now.
You're welcome.
I'm using someone's system. Just give me a minute and then I will join the meeting now.
Sure.
Yeah, because I joined on the phone. Okay, thanks, Melanie.
No problem.
Unmute. Okay. I'm having a feedback. Okay. Thank you very much, everyone, and apologies for the delays. I've just been informed, and I'd just like to apologize for that both the CEO and the CRO have been called in the meeting. Melanie, I could hear your introduction as I was coming into the meeting. But
Okay.
first, I would like to welcome everyone into the meeting, and we really appreciate the colleagues that have joined the meeting to take their time off, especially on a Monday morning, coming from a long weekend. In South Africa, we had a holiday on Thursday, so I would like to welcome and all the both local and international colleagues that have joined the meeting. And as indicated by Melanie, the intention of the meeting is to have an initial engagement with conformity assessment bodies or organizations that are interested in conformity assessment body. During the proceedings of this meeting, we'll be talking to the approach that SAHPRA wants to follow, working together in collaboration with our colleagues from SANAS regarding the medical device product registration. I think everyone, if I maybe give a background, SAHPRA started doing product regulation, medical device, including IVDs, regulation around 2017. And we started with looking at establishment licensing as per the legislative requirements in South Africa through the Medicines and Related Substances Act 101. So we started with that process almost 6 years ago. And now we would like to look into doing product registration as per the regulations that were published in 2016. We do have some regulations now circulating, in our system for review after public comment, but the focus now is to move to the next stage of product regulation in the coming few years. So what we did is we looked at the various approach as SAHPRA on how to do the process, and this will be the discussions that our colleagues from SAHPRA as well as from SANAS that will be talking at the approach that SAHPRA is looking at too. So I think my job for now was just to welcome everyone instead of going into the technical approach. Um, from both our SAHPRA colleagues as well as the SANAS colleagues. And from my understanding, I'm being told how the proceedings of today, as Melanie indicated, that there will be a time for question and answers towards the end. I'm supposed to welcome in the colleagues now on behalf of my boss, which is the Chief Regulatory Officer. As I indicated, we are coming from another meeting, and I have left them in that meeting to come in and welcome everyone. And I'm also looking at the time that we are already on 10:16. We'll be giving colleagues opportunity to do a discussion. And further, I just want to maybe allow my colleagues that will be presenting to introduce themselves so that you know who you are talking to or who will be presenting in the coming few minutes or hours that we'll have with you. So I will ask first, I'm going in order here. I'll ask Kanyisile to introduce herself, but then she will introduce further during her discussion, give a little bit of background about herself. And then it will be Lydia with the SAHPRA colleagues, and then our colleagues from SANAS to also introduce themselves so that you know whom you're talking to. Thanks.
Good morning, everyone. I am Kanyisile Nkuku, and I'm the Medical Device Registration Officer. I will be presenting on the current quality management system for conformity assessment bodies to be recognized by SAHPRA. Thank you.
Thank you, Lydia. If you may share your camera. I didn't share my camera. You can see I'm using a phone. Lydia, over to you.
Morning, everyone. Lydia Mutlogela. I'm the manager in medical device for registration and clinical trials. Today, I'll be talking about our proposed feasibility study on product registration. Thank you.
Thank you, Lydia. Tumelo, if you may please come in.
Good morning, colleagues. Tumelo Dimo. Dr. D, Mauho will be the one making presentation today. Thank you.
All right. Apologies for that. I'm looking at the agenda for the day. So Moho, if you may please come in. Is Moho on the line with us?
Yes, I am here. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Moho Muriengane from SANAS, working for the certification program. I will be presenting on the general accreditation process and will touch a little bit on the product certification, just the process, what it entails in product certification. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, colleagues, for introducing yourselves. I think I'm already now ahead of time. I was already doing the introduction to the intention of today's meeting. As I have indicated already that SAHPRA now we want to embark on a product registration. We have internally working with our experts, medical device committee members, looking at the approaches to look into for product registration. If you look at other countries, there is an internal review of product by the National Regulatory Authority. We looked into that approach. We also further looked into various markets such as European market on how they are approaching medical device and IVDs product registration with the use of the notifying bodies as well as the use of conformity bodies. Further, not forgetting that, as SAHPRA, we are also an affiliate member of an MIDRF as well. We also looked at the reliance approach to medical device product registration, and upon a lot of discussion internally, looking as well as our environment as South Africa currently on the capabilities and the capacities that we have at this current moment with the intention of growing them in the future. Is what is it that we have as a country, and looking at our industry from external as well as looking internally as a regulator. We looked at our capacity and also capabilities. And based on that, then we looked at the approach of using a hybrid model for product registration, which will include the conformity assessment body approach. And today's meeting, actually, it's the first meeting we are coming and discussing, the proposed approach by SAHPRA regarding the use of conformity assessment bodies as part of the value chain of review or of putting the products in the market, if I can put it that way. So hence the initial engagement, and with the intention to speak to that, the intention of SAHPRA, looking at international conformity assessment bodies, as well as talking to local conformity assessment body, not only looking at the quality management system of manufacturers, distributors, but also looking at the product compliance. How can we look at the increase of scope in that manner? So that is the intention of the engagement. And the intention is, just to inform the colleagues, and we'll have a further engagement with conformity assessment body of interest regarding, what are the requirements from SAHPRA regarding the use of conformity assessment bodies for product registration. And we will be working in collaboration with our colleagues from SANAS, hence the reason why they are partners as well as collaborators with us in this project moving forward. They have been working together with us on the ISO 13485, looking at the quality management systems of the organization, and they will further be supporting SAHPRA, working in collaboration and in partnership with us, looking now at the product registration, and also looking at having conformity assessment body that can support the industry regarding, product submission to SAHPRA for product registration. So this is we wanted to engage based on the background that I have shared. And based on that, then we'll hand over to my colleague. If you're looking at the agenda, that's what I'm saying, we're actually ahead of time because the colleagues are supposed to start doing presentation at 10:35. So I'll ask my colleagues to please project the agenda. And I'll just speak to the agenda for the day, and then I will hand over to the colleagues. And I would like this to be, we like this to be more of, we have a question and answer session, as I indicated at the bottom, so that we don't disturb the proceedings. But also this meeting is to also get to know the conformity assessment bodies that we have in the market, also internationally, that are interested in what we'll be discussing. And as indicated, towards the end, we'll speak about what is the proposed way forward and how do we further engage in this important matter. So we will be now sharing the agenda. So the next topic will be presented by Kanyisile, which talks about QMS. I have spoken a little bit about the QMS. I think this process started over more than almost 2 years ago, where we were requesting, we have a list of conformity assessment bodies that we have published on the SAHPRA website. So Kanyisile will speak about this process, and as well as Moho from SANAS. Moho will be talking about this topic as well. If you have any questions, please, you can post them as indicated, and some of them we can answer them as we go through presentation, and some of them will bring about them towards the end. This is for me, it's a two-way discussion. It's not SAHPRA or SANAS telling you. It's about also, understanding from your side or questions that will help us to clarify the process. And then Ms. Lydia Motlogelo will be talking about the proposed approach. As I've spoken, there are various approaches in product registration. So we'll now speak to SAHPRA's intention or proposal. And then from SANA's side as well, speaking about the conformity assessment body looking at the product specific areas. And then I will speak a bit from my side on the proposed way forward. And then we'll open it up for discussion, any questions, and then, just open discussion. And hopefully we'll make on time to close just after 12:30. So I'll hand over to the first presenter to start with their presentation. It's already 10:26, so perhaps we'll catch up on time and we can have enough time for further discussion and Q&A. Thank you. Over to you, Kanyisile.
Kanye, you're muted if you're speaking.
Good morning, everyone. As introduced by Dr. D, I will be presenting on the current process that started in 2021 on approving conformity assessment bodies for ISO 13485 in terms of the quality management system. Just to give a brief background on the responsibility of SAHPRA in terms of the quality management system. The reason why we have this quality management system is to ensure compliance with existing legislation that every organization which holds a medical device establishment license, in either being a medical device distributor, manufacturer, are required to have a formal quality management system in place. Previously, applicants were providing alignment and compliance to the ISO 13485 in terms of their quality manual that they will submit with the application form. But as SAHPRA had indicated, and also within the regulation, it is stated that every applicant in terms of manufacturer and distributor are required to have been formally accredited by conformity assessment body with ISO 13485. The ISO responsibility of SAHPRA in the newly revised medical device regulation, it is highlighted that the quality standard for quality management system of medical device establishment holders is ISO 13485, and the purposes will be required for a new medical device establishment license application, renewals, as well as amendment, and associate records to be licensed and who are licensed to have ISO 13485, and they are to be certified by an independent conformity assessment body which has been accredited by SANAS, who are in this meeting, and recognized by SAHPRA to be compliant with the South African legislation and regulation for medical devices. So the role of SAHPRA is broad, where we're looking at safety, quality, performance for distributors, manufacturer, and wholesalers of medical devices within South Africa. Where the extension was coming from for ISO 13485, as most license holders are aware, is that for renewal of medical device licenses in 2017, it was communicated that when renewing, the key requirement was to have an ISO 13485. However, while the renewal was happening in 2022, starting from April, from licenses that were issued between 2017 of April and December 2018, there were only 239 licenses which were requiring renewal. And by that time, there wasn't enough local conformity assessment. there wasn't enough local conformity assessment bodies within the country. To date, we have only recognized 10 local conformity assessment bodies, with bulk of these 10 being foreign assessment bodies. They are international assessment bodies that can certify against ISO 13485. And the extension that has been given in 2022 was that all license holders are given an extension until April 2025 to be ISO 13485 accredited. And here is the process for foreign conformity assessment bodies to be recognized by SAHPRA. In order for them to be listed on our website, they have to first submit an application or interest to SANAS. And interest to SANAS refers to, there's a communication MD032 that states that if a conformity assessment body is an affiliate with the International Accreditation Forum, the IAF, they can submit to SANAS and be recognized without having to redo accreditation in South Africa. Hence, here we say interest to SANAS. SANAS will issue them with a letter of authority or refer them to SAHPRA if they are compliant and also they have everything in order. They will submit a letter of authority or the email that refers them to us and the required documents to SAHPRA, which will be listed in the upcoming slides. We will then review the documents submitted by SAHPRA and we will recognize them and publish them on the website. For local conformity assessment body, the process is very similar as well. They have to submit an application to SANAS for accreditation. SANAS will issue them with accreditation certificate as per scope. They will submit the accreditation certificate and the required documents to SAHPRA. SAHPRA will designate and will publish on our website. The requirements for conformity assessment body, most importantly, is that they have to be compliant with the South African regulatory requirements, including the Medicines and Related Substance Act 101, as well as our medical device regulation. There has to be proof of training regarding compliance with the South African regulatory requirements. There has to be certification of a quality management system as per ISO 17021. There has to be compliance with the relevant international accreditation forum in the field of medical device quality management system. And also the conformity assessment body has to make available to SAHPRA information regarding the organizational structure, ownership, legal and natural persons, exercising control over the conformity assessment body. These are the documents that provide guidance for conformity assessment bodies, both international as well as local conformity assessment body. The main document is MD032, which provides what documents should be submitted and also the processes to be followed by the two different conformity assessment body. There is also a checklist that the conformity assessment body has to submit to SAHPRA. That is where they will detail the documents that they've submitted to us and a declaration that they are in compliance with the regulatory requirements stated by the regulator. And this is just an end slide to say that as much as we only have 10 conformity assessment body, in order for SAHPRA, for us to not extend the upcoming deadline, is that collaboration between industry, conformity assessment body, as well as SANAS is required. We need more conformity assessment bodies to ensure that there is compliance to ISO 13485 and that all the license holders within South Africa are compliant to the quality management system. Thank you. Thank you. And just to re-emphasize, the date for when the required ISO 13485 will be required is April 2025. So it is very imperative that all applicants and also the conformity assessment bodies that are in this meeting engage with SAHPRA and know that the date for the quality management system has already been set. And we hope that everyone will comply with that date. I'll give to Dr. D to introduce the next speaker. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kanye. for the background. I'll hand over to our colleague from SANAS, Ms. Mokomrenya, to proceed with the next presentation. Thank you. Over to you, Moko. You may share your slide. We'll give you, go ahead for you to share your slide, please. Moko, you are on mute.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Moko. You may come.
Yes, I was trying to share so that I'll be able to have it on presentation mode. Okay. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
We can see the
Okay.
slide, Moko, but from my side, oh yes, you can go.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, everybody, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. That it has already been introduced earlier on. We will be looking at the whole process of accreditation. It's long, but we just here in this presentation, we have just summarized the process. The presentation will also cover the next part of the agenda, so that I will be covering a little bit later. So everything is in the same process. So the accreditation process for certification under 17021 or under 17065, or generally the accreditation process, entails a few phases that we need to be following as written by or as established by SANAS. The processes would include for conformity assessment body that is seeking or that needs to seek accreditation from SANAS will have to apply using the SANAS website, and the conformity assessment body submit the application showing the scope of accreditation that they are seeking for. That will be followed by, then there is a pre-assessment, but this one is only voluntary for some programs, but it might be mandatory for other programs such as inspection. But in 17021 or for certification, that would be agreed with the conformity assessment body. The next process would be initial assessment, followed by decision making and the continued monitoring of accreditation through surveillance assessments. The process is being, my slides are not moving. Okay. The next slide still, it just explains, it's just a summary of what I have just said. Like I said, the application will be received by SANAS, which we will review internally to ensure that there is an understanding between the conformity assessment body and the accreditation body on the scope that the CAB is seeking for. That document or that application review, it will be followed by the document review. During the application process, the conformity assessment body is required to submit their quality management system or their management system that they have established and documented in line with the relevant accreditation standard that they are seeking for. So that document review is just to ensure that all the processes are being documented in line with the relevant or the said or the sought accreditation standards, such as ISO IC 17021 for management systems or ISO IC 17065 for product certification. The recommendation from from the document review will be made based on what the documents that are submitted by this conformity assessment body are being written on. So in this case, that recommendation might be that the conformity assessment body may correct or submit more information as required, or there would be a recommendation for initial assessment, which will include the witnessing activities. The next slide shows the next process in the witnessing, in the initial assessment, where the selected assessment team, based on the knowledge or the technical expertise on the sought scope, will be now used to conduct the initial assessment. Like I said, the initial assessment will include witnessing and office assessment. Witnessing assessment is a process whereby the SANAS assessors or the selected team will observe the auditors of the conformity assessment body conducting the audits, just to ensure that the audits are being conducted in line with the relevant criteria, which will be accreditation standards or regulatory requirements, or any of the management system that has been implemented by the CAB and the client. The office assessment entails where the assessment team goes into the office of the conformity assessment body and look at the files that had been generated during the audits of the auditing time. That is in the absence of SANAS. Now we look at, or the assessment team looks at, how the requirements or how the audits have been conducted, and with evidence to show how the certificates, or if the certificates had been issued with enough objective evidence. Recommendation will be based on the results of the witnessing and the office assessment, which will be submitted to the team in the office for approval. So the approval committee also includes technical review of the reports. It includes the approval, the AC committee, which approves that the certificate or the accreditation is being granted to the conformity assessment body. The outcome of that accreditation will be communicated to the conformity assessment body, and the certificate be issued and also published on the SANAS website with the scope of accreditation that shows exactly what the conformity assessment body has been reviewed for and confirmed competency on. The maintenance of accreditation is conducted through surveillance activities, which starts with the 6 months follow-up to ensure that the corrective actions or the initial accreditation is still being maintained. This will be followed by annual surveillance assessment, and in the third year or the last year of the expiry of the certificate, then we conduct the reassessment, which also looks at the whole process. All these processes or these maintenance activities will still include witnessing activities. That would be what we call the cycle 1. In the cycle 2, everything still continues after reassessment, and then we'll still have the surveillance assessment every year, and until the last year of the expiry, then the reassessment it's continued. That's the general accreditation process, how it's been taken through SANAS. The accreditation for management systems includes, like Kanye has already just said, ISO IC 17021 Part 1. This is the criteria that we mainly look at for the for accrediting the conformity assessment bodies that are seeking management systems. And here I've just looked at 13485 because that's the one that we are looking at, or the one that we are working with SAHPRA on. And other criteria that we also use for conducting this management system certification includes mandatory documents from IAF, and I just highlighted a few of them. That's MD8, IFMD 8 and IFMD 9. The conformity assessment bodies are also required to implement their system based on IFMD 9, and MD 8 is used for accreditation. Accreditation processes to ensure that the assessment team has required skills and required technical expertise. The criteria also includes the SANAS accreditation documents that are available on the SANAS website without request. And of course, we will have the medical device standard, the ISO 13485, that we'll also be looking at. And we're not forgetting here, which is not even included, the regulatory requirements are also going to be looked at into during the SANAS accreditation for ISO IC 13485 management system certification. I think this will be okay. So the next one on the product certification, it includes looking at the current version of ISO IC 17065, which is the conformity standard for the bodies that are certifying products, processes, and services. All the other criteria, as I highlighted from the previous slide, will still apply. But in this case, for product certification, SANAS has also documented or established a document for criteria for certification bodies in the space of product, process, and service certification. I think for this part of the presentation, of this part of I will end here. The other slides will include the next part in the agenda. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Moko. That was quite comprehensive, and I saw you already start doing product certification, but as you indicated, we'll expand more of it in the next coming slides. But thank you very much. For now, I'll hand over to Ms. Mutlogelwa to please share her slide, and then can go ahead with now, the product registration approach that SAHPRA wants to embark on. And now, bringing into the picture, the apologies for that. Sorry, colleagues, we are all in one room. So if one unmutes, then I've got a feedback. Apologies for that. So where now we are bringing in the proposed registration approach that SAHPRA wants to embark on, and also indicating the requirements of the conformity assessment body into the whole value chain of product registration. So I'll hand over to Lydia to continue with the presentation. Over to you, Lydia, if you may please share your slide. Stop it. Yeah. You have not pressed it. Press it. Thank you.
Morning.
What you see is that one that shows the tools you need to do display setting. I'm just choosing the first one. So. Yep.
Morning, everyone. I'm Lydia Mutlogelwa. As I've introduced myself, I'm gonna speak about our proposed product registration feasibility studies model and the proposal for the CAP support. I'm gonna put a summary overview about SAHPRA. SAHPRA is an entity of National Department of Health created by the South African government, previously known as the Medical Control Council. The mandate of SAHPRA is to ensure that the health and well-being of human and animal are at its core. SAHPRA is a Schedule 3A public entity that is responsible for the regulation of health products intended for human and animal use, the licensing of manufacturers, wholesalers, and distributors of medicine and medical device, radiation emitting devices, and radioactive nuclides. The conduct of clinical trials that is compatible with the national medicine policy. When you look at SAHPRA is doing all this through 3 pillars: safety, quality, and efficacy. For medical device, we'll be talking about performance. What are the vision of SAHPRA? SAHPRA is an agile and responsive health products regulator that is globally recognized as an enabler of access to safe, effective, quality health products in South Africa. Our mission is to promote health products and protect human and animal health in human and animal health in South Africa through making science-based regulatory decisions. Our values is Ubuntu humanity, responsiveness, integrity, transparency, efficiency, and excellence. Our regulatory framework is based on the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa of 1996, the National Health Act 2003, Act number 61, Medicine and Related Substance Act 101 of 1965 as amended, Hazardous Substance Act 15 of 1973, provides for the establishment of a new regulatory authority. All these acts provide for the establishment of new regulatory authority, provide for the transition of MCC to SAHPRA, and provides for expansion of the regulatory mandate of the authority to include the regulatory oversight of the medical devices. Following that, in December 2016, through Government Gazette 40480, the regulation for medical devices and IVDs were published. Health products that are regulated by SAHPRA, you look at medicine for human and animal use. Under those umbrella, we have biologicals, complementary, veterinary, and orthodox medicines. And then we also have medical devices and IVDs, and also radiation control. When we look at the business programs within SAHPRA, we have Program 1 for administration, Program 2 health product authorization, Program 3 inspectorate and regulatory compliance, Program 4 evaluation management, which include clinical evaluation management and pharmaceutical evaluation management. So our focus today will be Program 5, which is medical device and radiation control. So we're focusing on medical device and radiation control. The medical device unit of SAHPRA regulates the licensing of medical device and the registration of medical device, including in vitro diagnostic and non-in vitro diagnostic in South Africa, to ensure the availability of medical device that comply with acceptable level of safety, quality, and performance. Currently, we're gonna look at what is happening in terms of medical devices and IVDs. We're not gonna talk about radiation control. When we look at medical device in terms of what is the regulatory status currently, we are currently licensing medical devices establishment since 2017. While listing that, the licensing establishment, the establishment license application, they need to list all medical devices and IVDs that they will be importing, exporting, and so on, whatever activity that they will be doing. And it's based on WHO guidelines for Global Regulatory Forum for Medical Devices and IVDs. And there is a reliance method used according to stringent regulatory authorities that SAHPRA aligns itself with, like the FDA, TGA, Health Canada, and so on, for Class C and D devices. Product evaluation under emergency use only. We have started there during the COVID-19 pandemic, and then we were looking at the COVID-19 related test kits. When you look at the devices that we establishment that we give license to, we have 3 types of licenses for medical device establishment. We have the manufacturers. As we can see, the manufacturer is defined as the person that manufacture, pack, label, service, provide services to the device, import or export the device. Distributors, they import, export, and distribute. Wholesalers, they provide storage and transportation of and delivery of the medical devices. No medical devices may be manufactured, distributed, imported, exported, or sold without a valid SAHPRA medical device establishment license. Now we're looking at registration. When we look at Section 15 of Medicine and Related Substance Act of 1965 as amended, it provides SAHPRA with the mandate of registration of medicines and medical devices, including IVDs. Regulation 8 of the medical device, including in vitro diagnostic, as per Government Gazette number 404, as published on 9 December 2016, it also refers to the registration requirements for medical devices and including IVDs. So we're putting forward a proposal for registration feasibility studies prior to us starting embarking into full registration of medical devices and IVDs. Our focus will be mainly during the study. Our focus will be mainly on medical devices and IVDs for human use. Our product selection for feasibility studies was based on risk-based approach, looking at South Africa in terms of high burden of communicable disease in South Africa. High risk, we're looking at high risk class C and D for both IVDs and non-IVDs. The proposal that we are putting forward is a hybrid model that will include reliance using our SRAs as we have indicated. We are also a IMDRF affiliate member, and most of those SRAs that we have, align ourselves with also IMDRF aligned. So, for example, ANVISA, PMDA, WHO, or Health Canada. So, and the next model that we propose, hence this meeting, is the technical dossier review by conformity assessment bodies for those manufacturers, mainly our local manufacturers. So, expression of interest to participate in the feasibility study. SAHPRA will send out expression of interest for voluntary participant in the study to focus on we will be focusing on the establishment licensees. No one without we're not gonna look at any application that doesn't have an establishment license. So in terms of establishments, licenses, we'll be looking at those establishments that do importation of medical devices into South Africa with or without labeling labeling requirements in South Africa, or manufacturers of medical devices in South Africa, or both of the above scenarios. Proposal of support during the study. That's our proposal to the CAPS. We ask the CAPS, those who have exposure or who have the technical dossier review as part of their scope of practice, or those who intend to extend their scope, to examine the technical design and conduct tests of the product in accordance with the technical requirements of the medical device regulations and essential principles of safety and performance, review the relevant technical documentation, including the technical file, the user manual and test report, provide evaluation report, and issue the examination certificate. Hence, we having this meeting to propose for those conformity assessment bodies who haven't extended their scope of practice to start thinking about it in case they are interested, because during the feasibility study and product registration collab, so that they can help us to assess if a product is safety and compliant, correctly documented, and in some cases manufactured under the right condition in accordance with the ISO 13485 and medical device regulation and guidance documents. SAHPRA and SANAS will do the following that Ms. Mwoko and Kanyisile has spoken about. SANAS will be doing the accreditation, and SAHPRA will be doing recognition of the conformity assessment bodies, both local and international conformity assessment bodies. The intention of the study is for us to be able to define and decide on the registration framework, identify and develop registration guidance documents, define and establish registration timelines, determine any additional resources required for product registration process. We also intend to also assist the CAPS that will be assisting us in this process to be able to know our local requirements for medical devices and IVD, sharing South African requirements for product registration as per current legislation, working guidance documents to be used during the study, providing services to industry. That's what we would like the CAPS to assist us with, and that will be the intention of the outcome of the study. And we also want to ensure that there is an awareness to industry on how to utilize services offered by the conformity assessment bodies. For the whole study duration, there won't be any fees required. This is where I end, and thank you, everyone. That's all from my side.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Motokelo. Thank you very much. I think colleagues can see as per the, the brief that Ms. Motokelo has shared with us, shared with us on the intention of us doing the feasibility study is for us to look at the proposed hybrid registration model in South Africa, considering, as I indicated earlier, the capabilities and the capacity that we have as a country, not only from the regulator perspective, but also from the industry point of view. So as indicated, we will be looking at the reliance and also also taking into account products that are locally manufactured, as well as taking into account that products that are registered in countries that we are not currently using the reliance model. And Lydia, as she has shown in her presentation, the countries that we've already published that we are using a reliance model that we're already using actually for our licensing. She has mentioned it's 6 of them, as well as the WHO PQ, and we want to extend that scope and also bring support to local manufacturer and also products that are not coming from the countries that were mentioned earlier. But I think the next question for me, if I'm, on a personal side, will be then how do I be part of the conformity assessment bodies in working in the South African market? And I think that will be the next topic coming from our colleague, Ms. Murenyani from SANAS will be talking about, the process to be increasing of scope to include the product review process, extension of scope for technical dossier review. So I'll hand over to you, Ms. Murenyani, to speak to that part. Thank you. Over to you, Moko.
Thank you again, Dr. Matibe. I think I had already started with this presentation, this slide from the previous presentation. For the product certification, the process of accreditation is still the same as I have already highlighted earlier on. In this case, for product certification, like I said, we look at the ISO IEC 17065, which is the conformity assessment body, which outlines the requirements for bodies certifying products, processes, and services. Then over and above this standards and the other criteria, we would also look at the approved scheme requirements that would have been documented by the scheme owner. And I'm not sure if in this case the scheme owner would be SAHPRA, of which we'll be looking into. The SANAS requirements criteria for certification bodies that are looking for product certification at the TR04, which is also available on the SANAS website. This also outlines the whole process of how the certification bodies or the processes that will be followed by the certification bodies in order for them to be accredited for product certification. I just wanted to highlight before we go further that for those accredited bodies, the ones that are already accredited, we only look at what we call extensions of scope. which is only applicable, like I have already said, to iterate. It's applicable to bodies that are already accredited. But in this case, the accredited bodies will still have to provide their completed scope application via the SANA's website, which includes or demonstrating the level of competency for the desired scope. So in this case, if now you're going into product certification, the conformity assessment body will still apply and send their application showing what they are requiring, they require accreditation for. The review of the application will still be conducted by the accreditation manager or the anybody that will be appointed by the accreditation manager in his absence. Based on that review, a witnessed audit will be conducted. The office assessment or desktop review will also be conducted, ensuring that the documentation or the management system manual, together with the procedures or processes and policies, also incorporate the requirements of 17065. Or else we would either have both office and witnessing assessment, in which in this case, this is where the file reviews or the client files that the conformity assessment bodies are having will also be looked into, just like the other process when I presented earlier. The non-accredited bodies, maybe those ones that have not been accredited, will have to apply as new applicants, and they will still follow the process of application from where we started, where we will have to have a document review. We go through the recommendation, and in this case, the document review is based on the requirements of ISO IC 17065, together with the scheme requirements that would have been documented by the scheme owner, as well as the management system, the SANA's requirements, as in this case that I have highlighted, it's TR03. Let's look at the whole product certification and on in SANA's. I have just said that we follow the requirements of ISO IC 17065. This document has been published in 2012 and it's only under review now, but it's the one that will be used for product certification. And on the other side, I've just given just an overview of the contents of the of the standard, but these are all within the standard that is also available in SABS, or our standard body that sells the standard. In that product certification standard, we're going to look at the scope. We look at the normative references that are that can be used by the conformity assessment body to understand the requirements of ISO IC 17065. In order for us also to SANA's or the accreditation body to understand how the conformity assessment is conducting the processes in ensuring that the organizations are producing their devices, or they are producing their products in line with the approved scheme requirements by the scheme owner. We go on to clause 7 of 17065 or 17065. Annexure A and Annexure B are informative requirements, or they give information on how the product certification bodies can be able to or looking at these principles and all the application of the international standard for processes and services. These are all highlighted, or they are documented in the standard. The contents of 17065 are still highlighted here, and we have just spoken about it, and it clearly specifies that the standard contains requirements for the competency, consistent operation, and impartiality of product, process, and service certification bodies. The certification bodies operating to this standard need not offer all types of products or processes or service certification. The certification of product, processes, and services is third-party conformity assessment. I just put this slide here, which is still in the standard, to ensure that during the accreditation process, the accreditation body confirms the consistency of the operations as it is in the scope. And we, as the accreditation body, we also confirm that the certification of those products and processes are being conducted in an impartial manner, ensuring that all the permits or all the certificates that are issued at the end of the process have been issued with confidency, ensuring that objective evidence, if there are any other activities that needs to be included during the evaluation of the product itself or the device itself, have been conducted with confidency. So, I went quicker. The term product can be read as a process in sometimes, except in those instances where separation provisions are standard. This is also highlighted in the standard. In order for us to document the schemes, like I've already said, one of the criteria will be the approved scheme, the scheme requirements, or the specific product scheme requirement as been documented by the scheme owner. The standard, the guideline standard is ISO IC 1706067 that has been used. This standard is used to ensure that the schemes are evaluated for acceptance or rejections by the CABs. I think the previous speaker has been highlighting that we're going to need the other stakeholders will be involved in the feasibility study, including those conformity assessment bodies. So all the schemes will have to be evaluated, and 17067 explains how the evaluation of the schemes are being conducted. There will be different types of schemes as per 17067, and the examples of product certification schemes will be highlighted in different guidelines and provisions of the review of the practical examples. That is how the standard for ISO IEC 17067 looks like. The contents of 067 are also highlighted in here, and all this will be found within the standard when we buy the same standard. Sorry, no, I don't know what. 17067 is intended for the use by those involved with product certification, particularly those who are considering becoming product certification scheme owners. The product certification scheme owner can include product certification body itself, that they will have their own certification or the scheme, the government or regulators, purchasing agencies, non-government organization, industry and retail associations, and consumer organizations. Just to ensure that when the scheme is developed and it's been used in one scope, we all follow the same criteria. So that would have been created already from what the feasibility study that will have been taken earlier. In the understanding the concept of product certification, 17067 under clause 7 that I have already reiterated, which I've highlighted earlier, it looks at the process requirements. The very first clause in that process requirements says the certification body shall operate one or more certification schemes covering its certification activities. This is this explains what I've just said in the earlier on, that there will be a certification scheme that has been documented and developed and approved for a certain product or for a group of products for all those or the devices. If we are looking at this medical devices, a certification scheme or the scheme will have to be approved, documented first, and approved and accepted by the stakeholders. As a result, certification bodies will be looking at those schemes. The requirements against which the products of a client are evaluated shall be those contained in specified standards and other normative documents. So which documents are we looking at? Which standards are we going to be looking into in order to establish the certification scheme? In clause 713 of 170065, it says, if explanations are required as to the application of those documents for a specific certification scheme, they shall be formulated by relevant and impartial persons or committees possessing the necessary technical competency and shall be made available by the certification body upon request. Ladies and gentlemen, this is just to iterate again that during product certification, the scheme owner would have documented the process, the scheme that would be followed by either the certification body or any other stakeholder seeking certification or accreditation. Therefore, all those will be explained and competent personnel will have to be involved. And this is what all product certification will be about. The conformity assessment body would also have to provide the evidence to ensure that they have looked at the competency or provide evidence of competency from their organization to be looking at a certain scheme of requirements for the product certification. And an example of those would come from functional approaches. There are other ISO IC standards that are assisting us also to understand what we are looking into. This I think they are still available. They can be this different standards would be available from the standard body. They can be bought from there. So during the product certification, we also select information. We need to have information on the selected items. An example, a device. We determine the fulfillment of those requirements and we ensure that the product follows certain requirements as has been documented in the scheme requirements. Then you need to review that the information or the results that have been produced during the evaluation of the product are also in line with the requirements and approve whether those are being done and the decision is being made. I have explained a little bit more in the next slides where the ISO IC 17067 explains that product certification schemes should implement the functional approach as described in ISO IC 17,000 that I have highlighted earlier on, which looks in the selection of the product. What are we planning to do? We're determining the activities that have to be put in place to ensure that the product that we are looking at, that selected product, is produced according to those requirements. We review the verification of the adequacy and the suitability of that selected determined activities to ensure that the results are in fulfillment of the specified requirements. For attestation, the next step is to just to ensure and approve that, or making a decision whether the results or they produced the results are fulfilling those specified requirements based on the selected product. Maintaining the quality, if it's the quality of the product that we are looking at, will go through surveillances. This is where the conformity assessment bodies are also conducting those surveillances to ensure that the activities are still conducted to maintain the validity of the statement of conformity. And whenever the product certification is confirmed, a certification scheme will be in place. In the next assessment, in the next slide, this is also taken directly from 17067 in building a product certification scheme. The scheme owner would have to determine the activities. Remember, we said we look at the selection, we select what kind of product we want to confirm, or the kind of product that needs to be technically reviewed. So in the determination of that, in building the scheme requirements, does the product needs to be tested? Does it not need some inspection activities? Other activities look at the design of the product? Are we going to look at the assessment of the services that leads to the selected product? What other activities have to be put in place? So ISO IC 17067 gives us different types of certification schemes, and those certification schemes will be determined by whether we want to have all these activities. For example, if we have a system or a scheme that includes quality management system, that includes testing of the product, that includes market surveillances. We look at the type. What type of product certification scheme is this? Is it a type A because it only needs evaluation? Is it a type 6 or type 5 that will include testing, that will include quality management system? So all this would be highlighted in the 17067 and has to be looked into that for building the product certification scheme. This will be followed by the conformity assessment bodies. We also continue with the decision that has been made, whether we grant, the certification body is granting the certificate to ensure that the selected product follows those determined criteria or the criteria of the scheme that has been approved, and to provide the certificate as an attestation or as an output to show that we have looked at all the processes depending on the scheme that we have chosen, like the type of the scheme, as I have highlighted earlier. This still continues, I think, with what we have just said, we have just explained earlier on, and this was also taken, this table is a continuation of the first one that is taken from 17067 during the establishment of the product certification scheme. So there is a need in the surveillances to show that there is an ongoing maintenance of the device when that is within the agreement, or as long as the certificate that is issued by the conformity assessment body is still valid through surveillances. Here, I just gave an example. This is the last slide that shows an example of what we will be looking at. Let's say we are selecting what type of object, a medical device that needs to be evaluated technically. We also look at the specific requirements as per a product certification scheme for medical devices that would have been established, determining the activities that needs to be there. Do you need to inspect? Do you need to test the product? Do you need to audit the processes around producing that particular device, which might be whether the auditing is already on 9001 or 13485. Any management system as the auditing of the processes or the system to supplement the producing of a certain product. So depending on what the determined activities, then we can review the product. We can review the product or the results using either, if it was inspection, then we're going to base ourselves on our ISO IC 17020, that is for inspection bodies. We can also use, if it was the scheme requires testing of the product or requires testing of the components when the product has been built, we're looking at the laboratory standard 17025. And if then there is a management system that has been, the management system is being used to determine the quality of the product, the selected product, then we can also look at the conformity assessment body that already has management system accreditation or management system based on 17021 part 1. I think this, and then the next part, the decision making and the surveillances, just repeats the other slides that I have already done. Thank you. I think this is my last slide. Thank you very much, Dr. Mathieu.
Thank you very much, Marco. That was quite comprehensive. And I think there's things also for showing in the details there on the slide. I'll maybe perhaps request it towards the end of our discussion. But this also emphasizes, the importance of the collaboration and the support that SAHPRA is receiving from SANAS regarding, the ISO 13485 standard, as well as now the use of the conformity assessment body. So SANAS is playing a very important role in ensuring that we have products that are safe in our market, that are of quality and performing accordingly. And thanks for also, as I'm saying, it's very comprehensive, looking at the examples that you have shared with us regarding how to become one conformity assessment bodies in the country. So really, thank you very much for that. And I think now we'll move on to the next slide. Lydia, if you may share the last slide. And then we'll speak to the way forward. But further, we'll also talk to, what is the ask from SAHPRA, or the intention of this meeting, as indicated, just re-emphasizing that, the intention of this meeting is to bring in the conformity assessment bodies, those that are already doing product evaluation, as well as the ones that have any intention, any organization that have an intention to be focusing on product evaluation. So thanks, Lydia. So that's the intention to request participation into the process of the product registration approach that we are proposing. And obviously, as SAHPRA, as a regulator, we really need also the input, as well as the support from conformity assessment body from a I think someone is not muted, Melanie. So we'll need support. Thanks, Melanie. We'll need support then from the, during the feasibility study from the conformity assessment bodies, so that, we can look at the process, the feasibility of the process, as well as the outcome we'll be sharing with the industry at large on the work of the outcome of the study, the lessons that we would have learned as two institutions, both SAHPRA as well as SANAS, as well as some of, share information with the industry, so that when we start doing product registration, we can tap on that, as well as leading to finalizing our guidelines. So the proposed way forward, or the way forward, is that the initial communication was today's one. And we will further be having another engagement with the industry, where we'll be talking about the proposed feasibility study and requesting any volunteers to participate in the study. But we thought it will be of interest to start our discussion with the conformity assessment bodies about their interest in participating in such study. where, including extending the scope of review or the scope of work, which will include technical dossier review. So the proposed date to communicate with industry will be around end of March, if not feasible, around April, early April. Based on today's meeting, any other organizations that are interested in participating in the study, we have placed an email address whereby we will have further discussion regarding, the way forward in how to participate in the study. So we placed that email there, and in this email, I just want to be direct and clear on that. This email is meant for this feasibility study questions, and mainly for conformity assessment body. Any other questions in relation to licensing, can they please be directed to the relevant technical people, or medical device licensing? Any questions related to clinical trials, can they be directed to relevant areas? I will want to emphasize, we will not respond to that, because we want to focus on this so that we are able to move it forward, because then if we're going to have a lot of questions that are not related to conformity assessment bodies, it might take us away from the intention of this meeting today. So if may please, remain within that scope of today's meeting on questions regarding the study, we can take that, and as well as the feasibility studies. And as indicated, we will publish very soon communication to the industry regarding the feasibilities, talking to the product, and when is the proposed intention to start the process. So I think that will be the end. Lydia, may you please display the agenda? So for me, I've spoken about the way forward, and this will also include any questions related to how to be a conformity assessment body, or how to be linked to the SANAs and the SAHPRA process, as indicated by Moko and Kanye earlier, for both QMS and product certification. So those questions, and then we can forward it to our colleagues. But I saw Moko towards the end, she also shared her email. So if you can also share the questions with them. So from our point was to consolidate everything so that we can, look at the project holistically. So before I can go to the closing remark, before I would like to open for question and answers. And I also want to ask, because we were responding to some of the questions as we go along. But if communication can allow us to open for open discussion for today's, but I want to indicate clearly that for today, we are focusing on conformity assessment bodies, and mainly as well on technical product increase of scope. Any other questions will defer it to relevant unit, and also to relevant documents that are published. For example, the requirements for ISO certification for renewal or for new application, that document is already published on our website. So colleagues can please refer to that. Aline, I see your question. If you may please refer to the document that is published on our website. So we will defer those kind of questions. So if the communication can assist with, if there's any questions, can we allow the colleagues to come in? And if there are no questions, I would like to, maybe before I go to, if there are no other questions, I would like to ask communication to please assist us with that. Melanie, is it possible, Ntokozo, to assist us with that?
Yes, the mics have been opened. Just a side note, just please raise your hand when you are asking a question or raising a comment. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Ntokozo. And I have colleagues on the calls who are busy with the presentation to please support on the questions that are coming through. I'll be calling on hands, and then please, I need someone to mute. I think it's Lydia. Thank you. So I'll be calling in the names. I see there's a hand from Sarah. And Sarah, if you may come in with your question, please.
Thanks so much, Dr. Matiba, and for the very informative discussion. So a lot of our members have been asking if they have a global ISO 13485 certificate, would they be allowed to use this as a basis for the QMS in their South African offices and their warehouses? We just want a bit of clarity around that. Thank you so much.
Okay, as I've indicated, Sarah, this is more on the product registration and conformity assessment body, honestly, stakeholder engagement. We can answer that question. Can you, if you may please come in on that one? But I would like to caution us then, as I will not take more questions that are not more related to today's meeting. Thank you.
Good morning, Sarah. So I'm answering on Dr. D's laptop, so apology for that. To answer that, if an applicant is using the international certificate, one thing to note is that that certification needs to have the office that is here in South Africa, and also there needs to be proof that they have been audited according to our regulatory requirements as well. Hence, it's very imperative to ensure that if one is using the international ISO certification, that their establishment here in South Africa has also been audited against the required standard. And I see Moko has her hand up.
Thank you very much. Kanye Moko, you may come in.
Okay, just to also support Kanye, I think for product certification, we, depending on the scheme, the type of scheme that would have been selected and approved on or agreed on, which is in the 17067, there would be, like I said, there were types, type A, type 1, type 2, type 3, type 5, and all. If the type that has been approved includes quality system, include auditing of the facility where the product would be made or would be handled, it needs that quality system. Then we can look at the basis of any quality management system that has already been approved. In this case, maybe certified or accredited. Yes.
Thank you very much, Moko. I see a point from, I hope I'm not Andre Rousseau, regarding may medical device establishment importing CE certificate medical device take part in the proposed study. I think as indicated, CE mark is part of the organization or NRAs that we are doing reliance on. And as indicated towards the end on the way forward, we will then be publishing the communication on the feasibility study, which that will include the type of product that we'll be looking into. And I think, Andre, on that meeting then and afterwards we'll have a small meeting again with companies that are interested. So you can indicate your interest and then we'll take it from there. I don't see any other hands. If there are any, please assist me. I'm just going through the questions, the Q&A. Yes, the answer to our refund back. I think Lydia indicated that the feasibility study will be for human use for now. So yes, the answer to that question is yes. I think this one will be a question that I will ask the colleagues to support. Anita Small. From Anita, it says, must a manufacturer or distributor use the same cap to certify their QMS and medical device, or can one cap be used for the QMS certification and one or more other cap certification of medical device, depending on the scope of the cap? I think, Anita, you've answered yourself in this question based on Moko's presentation. So I'll ask Moko to speak to that, and then Kanye to also talk to that. Thank you, and then I'll take hands after the response. Moko, if you may come in from a question from Anita.
Thank you, Dr. Matiba. It's not compulsory for an organization to use the same conformity assessment body.
Thanks. Thank you very much. Yeah, it answers, and I think the team also answered on the system as well. I just want to go to the hands that are raised and then ask the person to please come in. Anele, if you may please come in.
Thank you, Dr. Matibe. I'm wondering, MUCO refers to the scheme requirements. Are these going to be published in terms of those CABs that are looking to extend scope to know what SAHPRA's scheme requirements are going to be? Thanks.
Thank you very much, Anele. Ms. Murianyan, you can come in on that.
Assuming that the scheme requirements will be established or the scheme owner is SAHPRA, after this has been established and approved, I think that will be published so that they are available to everybody who would like to participate. Thank you.
Okay. Can you also want us to add to that? And then I will take Mia. Just Mia, hold on for me for a minute.
Yes, just to answer Anele, SAHPRA has also developed a few guidelines that will assist the conformity assessment bodies. We are working with SANAS and using the IMDRF and also the EU model. So we will also be publishing on the requirements to make it easier for them, you know, when they are looking to contributing to the voluntary feasibility study.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thanks. Mia, if you may come in, please.
Thank you for your presentation. I have two questions, and I hope I phrased them correctly. For the feasibility study, I heard that the guidelines will be established post the study. Is there a period for the guidelines to be established?
Sorry, there is a what? I didn't get the question. I apologize for
A
that.
period for the registration guidelines to be established post the feasibility study.
So, sorry, Mia, I'm missing I only hear a P something. I'm sorry, maybe I'm late.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, post the feasibility study, is there a period that for the guidelines to be established, the registration guidelines?
Oh, period. Okay,
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
sorry, Mia. I didn't hear the P part. I apologize for that.
No
So
problem.
during the feasibility study, we will be publishing the guidelines as working document. Obviously, we are also updating it as we go along. And then upon finishing the feasibility study, we will publish the guidelines for comments, public comment, and then it will be implemented afterwards. So we'll still follow the normal process, but during the feasibility, we are using that period to also verify what we've already developed. Thanks. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. And I have one more.
Okay.
In the period of the feasibility study, assume I want to add a manufacturing activity to my current license. Which route do I then follow? Do I fit into the feasibility study, or do I just send through technical dossiers that have been generated by my manufacturing site in South Africa?
So what do you mean by that? Because in the feasibility study, they will be focusing on specific products. So maybe if you can expand on the question, please.
Okay, so we currently an importer and exporter, and we'd like to add the manufacturing activity to our license. So our factory is currently doing validations and manufacturing products and doing validations to prepare the technical files or technical dossiers. Now with the whole feasibility study and the guidelines still to be published, what do we do currently? Because our commercial wants to add the manufacturing activity to our license as soon as possible.
Okay. We remember, as per the discussion at the beginning, as Lydia indicated, on the product, I mean, on the medical device regulations, we are doing licensing and we have not started doing product registration, and hence the feasibility study.
Yes.
So if you want to update any information on your license currently, you'll have to follow the procedure of an amendment of your license. And as I indicated, there's no product registration, so it will not be part of the feasibility. So Kanye wants to come in as well.
I just want to explain. So you said that you currently have a distributor license that allows you to import and export, and you want to add the activity of being manufacturer. You will then need to apply for a new manufacturer license because that is a new one. You don't add the activity of manufacturing to your distributor license. And also you can email us and I will send through the required documents and the correct process for you to follow.
Perfect. Thank you, Kanisile. Thank you, Dr. Dimakiso.
Thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much. I do not see any other hands raised or any other questions. So clearly, the colleagues were very clear on their presentation and explaining the process. But as I've indicated, I will ask Lydia to please share the email on the chat, as well as Moko to please share the emails on how we can be contacted. But as indicated, the way forward, a request is to say all the conformity assessment bodies that are interested in being part of the feasibility study to please use the email that he has shared, and then we'll have a closed meeting with all the colleagues or conformity assessment bodies that have indicated interest, and then we'll take it from there. Sorry, Nicole, I was busy saying something. You can come in. Apologies for that. I just wanted to finish my point.
No, I do apologize. That was hitting error. So no question for me. Thank you.
Okay. All right. No, thank you very much, Nicola. I'll hand over then to my colleague from SANAS, Tumelo, to assist with the closing. Over to you, Tumelo.
Oh, thank you very much, Dr. Matiwe. I think it's been a great pleasure to work with SAHPRA in the developing of the conformity assessment for South Africa, in order to include the conformity assessment body in the evaluation and certification of quality management system thus far. And with that, with SANAS, we continue to be available to support SAHPRA as a regulator within the space of the medical device, in ensuring that the hybrid approach of having full control of the medical device and IVD registration and licensing, it functions as per the aspiration of an IMDRF and the WHO conformity assessment framework. And the great appreciation to Moho. She was on leave. I had to call her during her leave and brief her on weekend for this particular meeting. And I think we can appreciate the detail that she went through based on the briefing to actually assist with explanation of the product or technical document review that we're intending to do based on the feasibility study that will be conducted. And we continue to be at the disposal of the SAHPRA in executing this particular mandate. With that, I would like to thank SAHPRA to that. Thank you, Dr. Matiwe.
No, thank you very much, Dimo. And as I've indicated, we're forever being appreciative of your support and the colleagues from SANAS. And I was not even aware Ms. Murenyani was on leave. So thank you very much, Ms. Moko, for taking your time to prepare. This was very comprehensive. I would further also like to thank, there are various teams that are working with us towards, us doing the feasibility study. The members of our medical device committee, their support. We're also been working with our colleagues from FIND, towards defining the process of product registration in our country. So I would like to thank them as well. Our communication team, for assisting us with preparing this at short notice. Really appreciate your support and assistance as always. My colleagues from SAHPRA, Ms. Mutluhelwa and also Kanyisile, thank you very much, guys, for your support. And also the conformity assessment bodies that took an opportunity, both local and international, and organizations that are interested in being part of this process. Thank you very much for taking your time, as well as the applicant, because I can see some of our applicants have also joined the meeting to understand where which direction is the regulator taking. And for me, your involvement in this process indicate your interest in ensuring
compliance to the requirements of the regulator. So thank you very much for taking time to understand on the proposed way forward of the regulator. So with that said, just want to thank you everyone for taking your time out to join us and also participating in today's meeting. And as I indicated to the colleagues, please contact us on the emails that I've asked the colleagues to share on the chat, both from Lydia and Moko, and we'll take it from there. I don't know if there's any other question. If there's no other question, colleagues, if you may allow me, we'll close. Oh yeah, before I close the meeting, I take some points that I took down to say. I want to ask from communication and also from SANAS that we will be publishing the, Tumelo, you may support me on that. Will we publish the our presentation on our website next to the today's meeting so that colleagues have an opportunity to revert back? Is that in order, the Tumelo?
Yes, that's in order. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you very much. Sorry for not asking prior to our meeting. So then we'll be publishing today's presentation on the SAHPRA website. And I also want to thank communication from SANAS for also publishing this on their website so that we can attract as much as possible. So if you can extend that, gratefulness from our side, Mr. Litimo, that will be appreciated. If there are no other points of question, I think we will then close the meeting. I see Ria Theodos will respond to your question on the next meeting with the industry because this is more product related question. And so for the next meeting, if you can also look at the various platforms that we'll be publishing, including SAHPRA social platforms, for where we'll be publishing the way forward regarding the product registration. With all that said, thank you very much to everyone and have a great day ahead. Thank you.